Established in 1836, the Drennen-Scott estate has been passed down by the same family until it was purchased by the University of Arkansas Fort Smith in 2005. The house was rehabilitated and turned into a museum for the public and a learning laboratory for students. The front door of the Drennen-Scott house is a doorway to the past. The original 1840s-era key opens a path leading not only to Drennen-Scott family history, but to everyone's history. It is the story of the nation itself. The home, furnished with original objects, purchased over the years by family and passed down through each generation, is closely guarded and protected as a valuable learning tool and legacy for today. Through the years, the house was a home, a place where family members lived, raised children, entertained guests, and conducted business. Contained inside the house are original artworks, such as the frieze in the parlor, an original oil painting on canvas that was featured in the Arkansas exhibit at the World's Fair in Chicago in 1893. Reserved for guests and intended to impress, the parlor contains some of the most luxurious possessions owned by the family. One can imagine the prominent visitors, holiday gatherings, and other special events held here. Family portraits adorn the walls, visual reminders of the people who lived here. In the room for at least 100 years, some of the period pieces date back to the 1840s and 50s and are an expression of the wealth and affluence the Drennen-Scott family attained. Furnishings include Rococo period sofas and chairs, a matching pair of Louis XIV style mirrors, and a square grand piano. The piano itself is a Steinway, made in New York in 1878. It was likely brought here by steamboat at a time before railroads and highways were available in the area. The original room of the house includes some of the oldest furniture items in the family collection. There is a bed that dates back to the 1850s, the time when John Drennen was still alive. Portraits of John Drennen and his first wife, Emily, are still in the room, reminders of the people who built the house and started the family. A portrait of John Drennen's second wife, Catherine, is in the dining room. The original room of the house also gives us clues to the age of the property. A white oak floor joist was cut in the spring of 1838 and is visible in the floor. The dining room includes many items that were used daily at the Drennen-Scott house, such as china, silver service pieces, and other objects of daily life. In a corner sits a buffet crafted during the Great Depression. Also present is the original dining room table, purchased by the family in the 1860s. Over the fireplace is another portrait of John Drennen, and one can only imagine the dinners, meals, and fellowship that occurred around the large dining room table when visitors came to visit the family. Outside, the grounds have been meticulously restored, based on historical photographs. The estate encompasses 31 acres of John Drennen's original property. Today, that 31 acres stands as a reminder of his success as a businessman and entrepreneur on the frontier. Plants, vegetation, and garden areas have been replicated using photographs to show what the grounds looked like in the 1800s. Today, a visitor will experience just a little bit of what Victorian-era gardens looked like and how they were enjoyed by the people of the time. The gardens are planned, planted, and maintained by a local group of master gardeners. Their investigative work has identified a number of heirloom species growing on the site. One aspect of the public experience at the Drennen-Scott Historic Site is the Visitor Center, a new building added to the property to serve as an introductory station for visitors coming to the site. Stories about family and history, demonstrations of various crafts and tools of the time are examples of some of the offered activities. For instance, quilting was not only a necessary craft providing bedding, but also a social activity which brought together members of the community to work for a common goal. Caroline Mary Scott's sewing and knitting effects are included in the museum collection. The Visitor Center regularly includes additional exhibits, such as a foot-operated sewing machine made in 1909 by the Wilcox and Gibbs Company. It is over 100 years old. Its owner's manual and original needles remain intact. The Drennen-Scott House is a doorway to the past. not only for the Drennen-Scott family, but the collective history of the United States. Come and see a reminder of that past, our nation's past, and discover stories of success and failure, joy and sadness, sacrifice and courage, lessons we can learn from far into the future.